for my own link. So we've got a lot of new people joining, and when I say new, I mean some of you have been Hats partners for a while, but it's your first office hours, which we love to see. And this looks like it's the biggest office hours we've had. We've changed the process for registration a little bit to ironically make it easier to join. So after today, that should be the case, I hope. So welcome everyone. If it is your first time, office hours with hats is like in some ways, it's like a smaller, more frequent version of the roundtable, but we just focus on all of the new features when they come out, and we help you with prompt engineering and selling AI as a service to your customers. There's a lot that we can cover and get more in depth than you might on a roundtable. So, if anyone has any questions as we go through all of the updates, that'll be, something you can just raise your hand or just ask a question. But I think we'll go ahead just because there's a lot to cover today. We should go ahead and get started. So if you haven't met me, I'm Mark. My focus is on AI adoption, prompt engineering, use cases, education. We also have JP. JP, can you introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. Yep, work very closely with Mark. My focus is to help MSPs grow the AI business. So helping get your customers started. And we might touch on that in a moment, Mark, around the playbook.
Yeah, exactly. And then we also have Kelsey here, and Kelsey, you'll have a couple more updates. I'm going to put you on the spot in just a minute, Kelsey. So, all right, so let's kick it off. The first thing is if you have not received our inaugural Hats AI newsletter, where you can find resources, use case videos, new features, upcoming events, and lots more, we'll make sure you get that for next month. We're going to be sending those out. Kelsey, it's the first Wednesday of every month, I think, is what we're aiming for,
That
right?
it is.
Okay. So speaking of upcoming events, Kelsey, where can people find you next week?
Next week, I will be in Denver at the Gaylord Rockies for PAX 8 Beyond's event. I believe this is the third year of this show. It is really valuable to anybody who attends. It's always a good time. So if y'all will be there, let me know. Come find us at the booth, grab some swag. Yeah, that's where I'll be.
Awesome. Thanks, Kelsey. So we had quite an update last night. There are a lot of new features out, and we're going to get into those new features, new large language models. But first, there are some new docs articles. We talked about this past Tuesday at office hours. But for those of you who weren't here, there are some new. We restructured our help center. So this can be found at docs.hats.ai. And this is where you can go to find, and thanks, JP, just put it in the chat. This is where you can go to find info about how to anything, right? How to use the chat, how to pick an LLM. There's use case videos. There's information about the certifications, and we have some new articles up as well for some of the newer features that have come out. So
Mark,
last Tuesday, go ahead, JP.
not to stop if you go back, Mark, I find it very, very helpful just to go in here myself. But there's one piece, Mark, that when you go into the link at Docs, on the bottom right hand corner, there's Lark Meeper, right? Your digital twin. Very, very helpful to go in, ask it any questions. Because everything is indexed in the background, it'll query all of our training material, all the supports. So some people might find that helpful as well. I certainly do myself, Mark, but do you want to add any more to that piece?
Yeah, Lark Nieper is trained on all of these articles, and it's also trained on all of the training. So the scripts, if you've taken any of our certifications, gone through any of our courses, all of those scripts, everything I say, that's also in the background there. So if you have a question about prompt engineering or AI web search, everything is just in Lark Meeper, and you can ask him questions. So last Tuesday, we introduced the new LLM selector. So the way this works, we got a couple questions about this, so I just want to cover some basics. Previously, if you used Hats anytime before last week, you know, there's a benefit to offering 35 plus LLMs, but which one do you pick? And it's really hard. And someone just messaged Lark. That's what that noise was. So it's really hard to pick which which model you want to use. So what we did was made it easier to distinguish between the different LLMs, and we gave you some indicators or attributes of each one of the models. So if you click on GPT-4o, for example, you're going to see that it's OpenAI's flagship model for general purposes. There's really not one particular thing this excels at. It's just good for general AI chat. These attributes, these little icons, all have meaning. And so these are their meanings. Every model has a description and it'll tell you its capabilities. That's what this little AI icon is. It really is just how intelligent is it? How smart is it? You're not going to need the smartest model for every single use case. Even the ones that say low are still very good. That's what was blowing people's minds back in 2023. So they're still very good. Speed, slow, medium, and fast. And then credit usage, which we'll talk more about in the next slide. Vision capabilities means you can drop in image files like PNG, JPEG, and then tool usage. That's that's sort of our shorthand for can it search the web or not? And right now that's what it means. But there will be other tools that we add in, and you're going to need an AI model that has tool usage capabilities to access all of those other tools. So this is just the LLM, but things like web scraping, that's a tool that it can go and use. So as we add more, this will be more of an important icon. And then finally, some of the models are reasoning models, and we have a couple slides about that too. So you'll see, I think it's a little brain that shows up here if it's a reasoning model. So to navigate your way around the new LLM selector, you can click on the dropdown, and where it says featured models, this will change over time. There's a little formula running in the background to choose really the most efficient model. So a good combination of these attributes. So we're not going to put a bunch of the highest cost, most efficient, or smartest, fastest. It's going to be a good mix. So these are some good models to choose that are not going to burn through a ton of credits, and they're not going to be really, really fast or really, really slow. They're just kind of middle of the road models. If you want to pick models that are, like for reasoning, for example, you can click the drop down and just click on reasoning models, and it'll only show you the models that meet that criteria, that have that attribute. Same thing for any of these. If you only want the fastest models, you can click on fast, and it'll only show you those. If you want to see all of them and even filter them by developer, so you want to filter by OpenAI, X, Meta, you can click on View All Models, and that will take you to, I'll show you in the platform in a moment, but that'll take you to all of the models. This is just the credit distribution. So if you see something it's almost like a steak, right? Like cooking a steak, like you have like well done up here, and you can go medium and then rare. So there's a good mix in between. And then the premium models, these again might change over time, but these currently are these 6 models. But again, these might change over time. What determines how many credits are used? This question comes up a lot, so we just wanted to get ahead of it. There's a lot of factors. The most prominent ones are really the LLM that you choose and the complexity, but it also has to do with how much info you're giving it. So you can think about it in 3 parts. It's what you give AI. So how long is the prompt that you're giving it? Are you giving it a bunch of files? How big are those files? And then if you're having a chat, well, every time you send a message in chat, it sends the whole chat history back to the LLM. So the longer and longer and longer the chats go, the more tokens you're sending to the LLM. There's other things here, and you can read more about this on Docs. So the updates from last night, we have 6 new LLMs added to the platform, which brings us to, I believe, 43 total. And DeepSeek is back. DeepSeek was gone for a little bit, and it was a little bit buggy. It wasn't, it's there were some issues with it, so our engineers worked really hard to make that a much better experience, and we brought it back into the platform. So with 43 models, even with that, the little descriptions of them, it's still a lot of models to choose from. So we did a little write-up here to help you understand what these new models are capable of. GPT-o3 is the most powerful OpenAI reasoning model, and it's really good at things like analyzing images, charts, and graphics. So not every model has been great at that. So if you have a lot of images that you need to interpret or analyze, this might be a good model to choose. O4 Mini, smaller, more compact version. It's going to be faster, quicker, but maybe not as in-depth. Gemini 2.5 Pro, I feel guilty. I've been a Claude stan for the last 6 months, and the last 12 hours, I've been using Gemini 2.5 Pro almost exclusively, and I really love it. It's the most powerful Google reasoning model, but it's really quick. So some reasoning models are slower. 2.5 Pro is really fast. And if you've ever used LM Arena, uh, that's a really cool tool. Not going to go into it today, but it tops the leaderboard on LM Arena, which is based on human preference. So it's great at everything. 2.5 Flash is a little bit, it's newer. It's a preview model. I'm not going to talk too much about that today. What I'm excited about, though, with the new Llama models is Llama 4 Scout, which has a 10 million token context window. Gemini 2.0 and 1.5 Pro, when they came out, they were a million tokens, and that was huge. So it's a really big deal to have something that can take long documents and really seamlessly process those. So 10 million tokens, it's about 5 million words, give or take. So you can drop in a lot more documentation, to have it processed. Thinking tokens for reasoning models, we added this in to the platform last night, where, again, these are the current reasoning models. The way reasoning models work at a high level is when you send a prompt to the AI, instead of just starting to generate a response right away, it puts together a plan and it thinks through how it's going to approach your prompt and answer it. And before, we weren't showing what those plans were, what those thinking tokens were. But now you'll have this drop down. So if you're using one of these models in the chat, you can see, if you click on this little caret, it'll drop down and show you the thinking tokens and what the AI is doing before, down here, it actually starts creating a response for you. So it'll give you this thinking plan and then start responding to your prompt. Any questions before we show the web scraper step again? Are there any questions?
Does that thinking tokens, does that count towards token count? Does that affect token count?
Yeah, so that it does affect the token count because it uses tokens to do this. There's more information that I can share with you. That was Jesse, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. There's a little bit more information I can share with you about that. There's some good visuals, especially from OpenAI. They have good visuals to show how thinking tokens are used. So I can put some of that. I might even put some of that into Docs just to show you how that works.
Mark, is this actual slide in Docs?
This one is not, but we can put it in.
That'd be great. Just so it's easy to identify the reasoning models. I guess you could do that in the drop down, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
you can identify the reasoning models in the drop down bar.
With the little brain. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Couple of questions, Mark, in the chat. So the context window for something like Gemini 2.5 Pro,
I don't know off the top of my head. I should have looked that up prior to this, but we'll update the docs page.
Yeah, I was just going to suggest there, Charisse, the comparison document is in the chat now, but we'll probably have to update that.
Yeah.
And you answered it on Mark, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're using a reasoning model, it is a reasoning model because it consumes those tokens. It doesn't consume a ton, right? This is not a whole lot of tokens, but those few that it does use make a big difference at the beginning of the output. So last week, we introduced a new feature in the workflows called Web Scraper Step. And we were looking at what are some good use cases for it? How does it work? And I told you all that if I found a good use case for it, I would show it during office hours. So I did find one, and it's pretty fun. It's not completely finished yet. It's a work in progress, but I just want to show you my thought process for building a workflow with the web scraper step and why I'm using it instead of just the AI web search and what the differences are. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me know if you can see. Hold on. Can you all see where it says workflows here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is the web scraper demo that I want to show. And this looks like a big workflow, but I promise it's not. It's just 4 steps that are kind of the same. So it's really just step 1, step 2, web scraper step, and then the final output. These are just happening simultaneously. So to go through this, and again, if anyone has any questions, please ask. Um, what I'm doing is I'm trying to use AI. This is for one of our partners working through a use case together. Trying to use AI to go out and research a security, a stock, right? So some sort of publicly traded security um, between a start date and an end date, and I need to find certain information about it. I need the AI to find stock splits, mergers, price changes, and just any helpful general info. But that's too much for one step to do, which is why we've introduced multi-step workflows so you can have it go through several outputs. So step 1, told you I'm using Gemini 2.5 Pro for everything now. Step 1, it's going to create this plan to go out and research all of these different topics. So when it does that, you can see these connectors are going out to the second step, and they're all the same, except they're all researching different categories about this security. So it's only going to output, it's going to go and find information about any stock splits for this security, and it's only going to output the most relevant website URL. The reason that's important is because it's going to search through a ton of different, it's going to use this web scraper, right? Where it's going to go out to the live internet, search, click on links, ingest all of the data, and figure out what the most relevant information is according to step 1's plan. Once it finds the most relevant website, it's going to just output that website. Instead of having to have this step also analyze everything, it's just going to output the URL into this web scraping step. That's here. So this input is only the URL. This step will then go to that URL and scrape it. It's not going to click on any links. It's not going to try to analyze anything on its own. It's just going to say, here's all of the information from that one web page. It's going to do that for each one of these. So all of these web scraper steps are just outputting the markdown from that web page. Again, not clicking on any links, just taking all of the text and putting it into an output. Finally, this last step will take the markdown from all of those web pages and do the analysis. So that's where it's saying, all right, the info about this security between these dates, I'm going to combine the outputs from all of these different steps, and I'm going to create my output. If I skipped this step, this middle web scraping step, and I just relied on the web search step to do the analysis, I was getting a lot of errors and I was getting some incorrect information because it was trying to throw tons of different websites and do the research, do the analysis, and then do the final output all in one step. And it was too much. So I was getting some not helpful information. So by adding in this web scraping step, I'm saying your only job here is to find the most relevant URL, output it, and let the next phase do the job. So this is one way to use it. There are others. There's a cool one with Salesforce. We're working on a Salesforce integration. And once we have that up, I'll show you another cool use case for that. But this is just early days for these features. Workflows are still a beta product, so there's a lot that's going to change about them. But I just wanted to show you one way that I found to use this. So I think there's some questions in the chat. Anyone? There we go. How is web scraping different from search? Is it just gathering? Yeah, JP, thanks for answering that. So to add a little bit more to that, the web search, when this AI-powered web search button is enabled, that's going to do a couple of different things. It's going to send these prompts to an AI agent that has access to different tools like Brave Search, Google Search, Perplexity, Firecrawl, and those things will work together to go out, search for the keywords, search for this URL, click through, look through the pages, click on the links, analyze what's on the page and say, this is relevant, it's not relevant, keep clicking until it finds what it's supposed to look for, and then take all of that, send it back to the LLM that you've chosen, and that LLM says, oh, right, but my only job was to output a particular URL. So it's going to look through all of the things that it found and create the output. That's how that works. For the web scrape, for example, if I go to pull up Hats AI, if I put in this page, if this was the input, it would literally just do this, copy, and everything that's in here, it would just paste it out, and that's what would show up in this output. So it's sending a URL, and the web scraper step is saying, here's the URL, copy everything on that page, and that's it. It's a better use of time. The web scraping step takes a lot less time than web search, and web search goes through multiple links. But if you know which one you want to just get all of the information from, that's what you can use the web scrape for. Let's see, were there any other questions? Okay, great. So I think we have, let me stop sharing. I'm going to switch back to the deck for the last part of the updates. We talked about the web scraper step. What JP just mentioned, we have some pre-recorded use case videos. And if you want to click through these, they're a mix of the different features. Some are chat, some are single automations, some are workflows. And they have little write-ups about when to use them, what they do. And you can actually just take the YouTube video and embed it into a slide deck if you want to show it. So there's no need for you to have to re-record everything. And that's all I had on updates. I know there might be some questions, but JP, we did say that we wanted to mention the AI activation playbook.
Yeah, we could do this another day, or even at the end, Mark. I'm conscious there's people on the call, and this is your time as well. Any questions? I said on Pratik, congratulations, you had your first customer yesterday, and I suggest you pop on. Be good to hear about that, but also, how, Mark, people might want to think about adding customers on the platform, and we can go through some of that now if you wish, but maybe Pratik, if you're comfortable to share a little bit about it, or any questions you have.
Yeah, sure. No, happy to. So this was our second pitch. We purposely didn't start pitching to clients yet because we wanted to kind of embrace it internally as a company. So that's what we did first. We embraced it as a company. We launched a few campaigns internally. And so today I awarded the most innovative idea use case internally and the highest number of use cases. And then one of the use cases we built was an HR, benefits, generalist kind of an agent. And Shravani, who's on the call, I think she's on the call, she actually
Yeah.
built it. Um, and and we said, so whoever comes up with the idea, the amount of hours saved in the company, we would share. So that person gets the hours added to their PTO annualized, and the company keeps the rest. So this guy that came up with this idea got 3 hours added to his PTO for every year.
Oh my God.
And
Wow.
I mean, the day I announced it, like within 2 hours, we had 23 idea use cases that we couldn't have come up with.
Yeah, that's
So,
great.
and so we built a bunch of use cases internally. And so we did the presentation, and JP, I sent you the three key things that were kind of very resonated very well with this target.
Mm.
And it's actually not an MSP client of ours, so it also opens up doors to a totally different space of potentially bringing in that business too. So it could be a good lead generation tool as well. But the three main areas, they're a log home manufacturer, and the three main kind of selling points were, number one, it's secured chat, secure platform, SOC 2 Type 2 compliant. We're a SOC 2 Type 2 compliant MSP. The second thing was, it's LLM agnostic, and the fact that the business case, the all of the rags, if you will, does not become germane to a particular LLM. And the third was this picker, which was brand new, of suggested LLM based on the use case. So those were the three big drivers of the sale. And now we have to deliver. I mean, I sold it. I haven't done sales in the last 7 years, and this was the first one I did, and it was fun doing it. And now I've got to live up to the promise.
That's amazing. And Sharini, congratulations. That's great. And the more I love the more apps you build, the more time off you get. That sounds exactly
Thanks,
the
Udin.
formula. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mark, if just for everyone's benefit, I'm not sure putting you on the spot with the admin portal and adding a customer. Maybe is that helpful, Pratik?
Yeah, I mean, I think that much we know. We had a few questions. Shravani, if you wouldn't mind, just post all of the questions on the chat. You guys don't
Sure.
have to answer all the questions, but if you can just give us really high level answers to some of that. I think we know how to, I mean, of 90 people in the company, and there are like 3 engineers that are on this platform. So they'll be able to add the tenant and all of that. But we have some deeper questions that, Shravani, if you wouldn't mind adding it to the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, just drop them in here. We have. Okay, hold on. Let me expand this.
Yeah, so I can run through the questions real quick. So the first one is, how can we upload bulk files into an agent or a workflow? We found a work around it, which was, create a PDF, Pro document that adds all the documents together and upload that one file. But we were wondering if there was a better way to do it.
Yeah, so yes and no. So right now you can use the HATS API to do file upload, but that only works currently. That only works for the single automations. It's the API is not right now able to connect to workflows, multi-step workflows, or when we release the agents in a couple weeks, it probably won't be ready for that,
Okay.
just because of like some persistence, and it needs to, some workflows take a lot longer, and it's not just a direct back and forth. So in the future, you'll be able to do that in the workflows and multi-step workflows, but yeah, for now, take a look at, and I don't have it pulled up, but I can grab the,
So when you say API, you're talking about grabbing it from OneDrive or?
so here, let me share. We have documentation for the API, and I think that's related to the next question as well.
Yes.
Here we have, there's two tabs here, the home where you can read about the documentation and then reference where you can actually test some of these. So we have file upload where you can upload files. And this is a good way to send a lot of files into App Builder. If you have more, yeah. So if you have more questions about that, it's not through OneDrive, right? This is more of a direct way to do that. But we can, you know, we can help you understand some of this. But if you have any programmers on your team, this makes a lot more sense to to them
Okay.
than it does to me.
Yeah, we're actually bringing on our first AI engineer in India, but we're actively interviewing for that. Never thought that we as an MSP would hire an AI engineer, but here we are.
Well, you're one of the few. So that's one way to do that. And then your next question is OneDrive integration associated with Zapier or Direct. It's not associated with Zapier. You can do that. I mean, if we go back here,
No, we don't want to use Zapier.
okay, yeah,
Go direct. Yep.
yeah. So there'll be more information about the Microsoft integration probably next week as we get more features there. I mean, you know, in Zapier, you can do that. If anyone else is interested in that, if you want to connect it to any of these other SaaS apps that
Right.
Zapier works with. So yeah.
Okay.
Um, mhm.
You can skip the Autotask integration timeline. That's not critical. I know it's on the roadmap, but it's not critical right now.
I will just speak to it for a second because Michael in the chat asked about news on Halo PSA. So I'm not going to give timelines on this call, but just the general strategy that we have around integrations now that we're going to be releasing them more frequently is the first ones are going to be things that make it easier for you to sell this to your clients. So things like Salesforce, HubSpot, like the SMB, broad, most
Makes sense.
people can use this. Then it'll be things that MSPs and clients can use. And finally, the ones that are more specific, more niche to MSPs, not because we don't care, they just take a lot more dev time and they're more niche. So they will be added, those MSP specific tools, but I'm not going to give a timeline here, but I will say that the first ones are SMB focused.
Okay, that makes sense. How to copy agents from one tenant to another tenant. It's pretty
Mhm.
easy to do. And there's documentation. We haven't tried it, so that's why we just quick question.
Yeah. So you have to be in admin to do that. So
Right.
if you're building something, if you're building something in your customer view, which you can the quick check for that to know, am I an admin or am I not? Well, it's the URL, but it's also, is there a learning portal or does it say go to user view? Right. So
Got it.
if it's go to user view, then you're good. You're an admin. And if you go to the workshop, you can duplicate, let's say you
Sure, honey.
we'll
Yeah, I
do
don't
this
care
one.
about that.
Yeah, so you can duplicate one of these.
Right.
It'll then show up as a copy.
No, I'm gonna be
Mhm.
in my office
I'm
tomorrow.
yeah, I'm just doing this to show. Here we
Nate's
go.
coming.
Then I can publish it.
Yeah, I ain't gonna be there.
So I can publish it into another tenant, right?
Yeah. So there. Now
Ah, there you go. Perfect. That's
And
perfect.
the default is that it's private to yourself, but you can also publish it to your own tenant, all tenants, or a mix.
Pick a tenant.
Yeah. You can do one or you can do multiple. And then it gets published downward to the tenant.
Okay, perfect. All right, let me run through real quick. How to create RAGs throughout all the agents for different companies. So this is the idea of kind of a global RAG per tenant. I know that's not possible, but do you have any ideas of workarounds?
That I think that'll be a good thing to talk about a little bit later in the summer as the way that we're building our agents, RAG will still be important. So we've built some into the platform. So if you have something and it goes past the context window, right, there's still some fail safes there. But the way that we're building our agents, it's going to be less important to give a huge amount of global data to an agent and just give it access to go in and find some info, find some relevant info. So as we release what we're truly calling agents, which will be here, you have automations, workflows, and there'll be a separate piece for agents. The UI might be different, but um, let's revisit that then, because it's almost like it's a different paradigm, right, from what other tools you might have seen.
Okay. Well, I mean, the whole thing is, this particular client has generated a lot of sort of knowledge base around them and around the people and the way they want the answers. And so we collected all that. We will be collecting all of that. But the question is, we want that to be with every single agent we build, we want that uploaded. So we're wondering what's the best, do we have to upload it as like a static file with every particular agent we build, or how would we do that?
It's just going to depend on the use case. Um, I'll Let's talk offline about what the particular use case is for that, so I can understand more about what's needed there.
Okay. Yep. And then this was kind of a wild idea. So as we are onboarding the client, what we wanted to do was create an Adele agent that's pre-programmed to ask a series of questions to kind of onboard every, maybe the member of the management team. And so we were wondering, can we create a phone agent that they call into, and it walks through a series of questions, collects the data, and sort of creates our knowledge base for us?
Yeah, short answer, yes. And it's a good question, because we've gotten um, quite a few MSPs reach out over the last week or two about the phone agent, which is amazing. Um, the We've been maybe holding back a little bit because we have some really cool updates coming this month. So what you see, I'm going to show you sort of Adele at a high level here, but what you see in terms of setup and the way that the settings work, that will be changing. So let me show you this one. We're adding new features, we're changing the UI, we're changing the setup, we're changing how you adjust these settings, how you write the prompts, how you can handle transfer numbers, all of that's going to be changing. But in the meantime, all you would really need to do is
Drop the
adjust.
questions there, right?
Yeah, you just need to adjust these prompts. So you can give it a persona. You tell it what its role is, what its job is meant to be, and then the questions that it's supposed to ask. And you can even put in if-then statements. So, if they are this title, or if they are in this department, go into these questions, and if not, ignore these other questions, etc. There is a tool here called, in the workflow, there's a public workflow called um, AI phone agent templates. There we go. So we could just do 1, 2, 3. And just describe that use case really quick, Pratik.
Yeah, so the idea was that it would ask the management team one by one a series of questions to onboard them as an AI client. Because what we're really doing is kind of picking up the persona, what they do as a company, what's a successful employee look like, what does a successful customer look like. So it's almost like building some RAGs, building some, knowledge base about the client, but doing that through a phone agent as opposed to somebody, doing it live.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go, AI as a service.
Company name, what do they do, processes, etc. I'm going to put things that will help us.
Their vision, Mark.
Yeah.
Mission statement, vision, and all of that. So, I mean, we could
Yeah.
put that. Yep.
So anyone can use this, by the way. This is in the platform, it's just in the community workflows. So this is writing, again, it's writing the agent plan. It's pulling all that information, scraping some of it. So this is what it's going to send to the next step. It's writing an opener message, and the opener message, I think I have it set to just be really basic, but that'll be what you put into the first part, like the first field. And then here it's giving that background persona. Here's the instructions, and then references. If you want to drop in any documentation, anything there, you can copy and paste that in. So here are the questions that it's going to ask. So you can copy this out and then tweak some of them. And it's also giving you the email template and the settings. So you can use this. And by the way, if you ever close a workflow and you're like, oh shoot, I didn't see what I forgot to copy out the email template. That's okay. You can just always go back. You can open that back up, and then you can click on run history.
Run history.
Yeah, and it'll show you. Now, your run history is unique to you as a user. So even within your same company, even if it's a shared automation, you're the only one who can see that run history. We are probably going to add some ways to share histories and share apps and everything, but for right now, the default is just that it's your own work history.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Looks like we had some other questions to come in.
Mark, one last question. Like, can we upload the zip folder?
Not currently. Let me circle back on that because I'm waiting on an answer about that too. And there's a couple people who asked that. Yeah. And yeah,
thank you. Very helpful, Mark. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. No, thank you so much. And we also had a question in the chat from Mark about the phone agent. It is an add-on. It's this tab won't exist in your client's tenants until they have a phone agent license, which can be purchased under billing. So you can just go to billing, and then under by licenses, you can choose the phone agent that you want, and then assign it. We have some documentation about that online, but if you need help with that, just reach out. We're making that whole setup process really, really simple. Even the prompts, right? Templates for prompts, so those things are going to be added into the platform.
Yeah, the phone agent setup was really easy for me. The problem was the guy that plugged the actual phone number for the agent into his phone to test it out put the wrong number in.
Yeah, Nick was
I
like,
kept calling it, and I'm telling Mark, it's like it keeps telling me this phone number is not connected. I had some numbers transposed.
Yeah, it's happened to me too. Yeah. Any other questions today? Has anyone, while we've been talking, has anyone gone in and tried any of the new LLMs?
Yeah, we played around with a bunch of LLMs.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I agree, Gemini right now is the leading one.
Mm-hmm. It really
Very
seems
fast
to be.
and great reasoning model. But
So-
this is going to change every month, right? I mean, this is going to be up and down. And
Yeah, like I said, how many times during the office hours today did I say, and this could change, right? And these could change because there's new, I mean, what does it say here? We go to drop down and we go to view all, yeah, 43 models, right? So there's more that were just announced. Anthropic just announced some more. So there's new models coming out all the time. These might change over time. There might be something that's high now might be medium when the next generation of models comes out. We don't know. So this is how you find all of the models though, just in case anyone missed that path. You click on the drop down and then you go to view all models, and it opens up this tab or this window, and then you can click on platform. So if I just want OpenAI, well, there we go. And then there's all of the OpenAI models, and you can compare them. And if you hover over these, by the way, it does show you what they mean. So you can hover over those to understand a little bit more about what these attributes are.
Yeah, the hover helps
Yeah.
until you get used to what each icon is.
Yeah. Yeah, go try out 2.5 Pro. It's and someone just messaged me directly and said we were working on a use case earlier this week and they just switched it to 2.5 Pro and it worked where GPT-4o wasn't working. So that's great news.
That's awesome.
Stop sharing here. Also, the last thing that I have is all of these videos that we've recorded, the office hours that we've recorded, I believe starting in May. They're all available on our YouTube channel. We don't publish anything that is specific to any of your clients. So if you ever come on here and you have a particular question and you share your screen and there's information, we just cut that part out and we really only publish things that we'd be comfortable with anyone seeing. So and it's an unlisted playlist, so you need to have the link anyway. So don't be afraid to ask questions that, might be a little bit sensitive. We're not going to put it on YouTube.
Mark, are you going to send that link to the unlisted playlist like each week or something?
Yeah, exactly. So we're probably going to put it in the newsletter too,
Okay.
just at the bottom where there's some resources.
Great.
Yeah. JP, anything that you want to?
No, I
add?
want to say great job, Mark. I learn so much on these each week. You come, you deliver it so well. So there's so much to cover, and it's only going to accelerate. The one thing I think as we wrap up, Mark, might be if there's any other piece that everybody would like, if there's anything you feel of value that we should bring, it's your meeting. I'm speaking to everybody else on the call. It was great, Pratik, that you could share that little piece. I think again, I learned some. I'm sure everybody else did as well. So this is your meeting. It is twice a week on a Tuesday and a Friday. I certainly got value at this one, Mark. But if there's anybody else that feels like we want to cover a certain topic, or might Mark maybe think about a topic we need to revert back to,
Mhm.
and I shared a little story. And again, we have what would you say, the unfair advantage. Speaking with MSPs all day, every day. Yesterday, he's not on the call, and I won't name check, but they've rolled out within the company. Actually, we might get him on a partner roundtable later in the month. But one little thing he said, they carefully track the stats, and across their support team with just chat alone, the chat function, there's 10 to 20% productivity in a certain workflow that they were doing. Now, this is not apps, this is chat. And it paid particularly attention to the time saving. And this is like across their organization, that's like a head count,
Yeah.
So, Mark, I suppose that leads me to like, how should we think about chat? How should we use it? What are the little, use cases that drive that productivity? Might be something like, as an example, to double click on that. I'd love to hear more examples of that across the MSP base as well. So the more we share, the more we learn. We all learn together. I guess, Mark, that's is a great form for it. So yeah.
Yeah, no. Yeah, thank you, JP. I think we might need to circle back on an office hours really just dedicated to the chat, because there is so much value, and we're both guilty of this. We sometimes tend to get excited about the workflows and the automations, and I use the chat more than I use any of those. So there's a lot of benefit to starting with the chat, and we'll cover some use cases on a future roundtable.
And
I know. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no, Nick's going to come in here. And just for our customer base, we got to meet them where they are. We have a bias. We're all working with AI, working in IT. Our customers are not. So I think that's another important point to that piece
Yeah.
of it. Yeah. So meet them where they are and bring everyone up along. Sorry, Nick.
No worries, JP. Thank you. Mark, one thing, I'm rolling it out to the whole team here recently. We got everybody sign off on the acceptable use policy and such. The training. Like when I want to show them where to go for training, it would be nice to be able to, it doesn't seem like it's organized in the crawl, walk, run as well.
Yeah.
There's like 3 bullets you can, or categories you can choose from on the left side, but there's no, it's not in logical orders and things like that, right? So
Yeah, so I actually just cleaned this up a little. That's a great question.
I was going to say it's different than what I saw the other day.
Yeah, no, it was annoying the way that it was organized. And what I realized was it's by date. But if you go by name, then I tried to make these a little bit clearer. If you click on the AI adoption program, this follows like it is in order now. And then AI skills, I'm still trying to figure out the best way to organize these into maybe, maybe we just call it level 1, put those in there, level 2, whatever. If you have an idea for that, let me know. But I might create little tabs for just level 1, start here, level 1, and then level 2, level 3. Yeah, I think that's maybe the best way to do it, but I did clean this up just a little bit.
Yeah, if you could set default to sort by name instead of date, might
Yeah.
be a little bit better. I'm just going to give most of the team chat to start with because we still have some resistant people. Which is it, the adoption, or is it the just learning how to do a prompt? How do I step them through which courses to take first?
Yeah, so the AI skills courses are nested under. Mark Huber in the chat. That's a good point. Label them as crawl, walk, run. That's a really good point. These are nested under the adoption levels. So if we look at level 1, there is complete AI foundation. So at the end, you take this AI foundations course, and that's how you progress. And level 2, it's all about the chat. So you go through here and you take AI powered search, you take secure chat as co-intelligence. There's different things that you do here. So I'll organize this a little bit better and clean this up. I really appreciate that feedback, Nick.
No, thank you so much. You guys do such a fantastic job listening to all of us and doing everything to implement everything you can. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, we appreciate the feedback. And then someone else, I know we're at time, but just someone asked about the Tuesday, Friday links. That was what the confusion was about this morning. I apologize again. The Tuesday link and Friday links are in the invitation. So that'll be clear. I'll clear that up for next week. So you can join either Tuesday or Friday or both.
So I have multiples on my calendar for a day. What one do I get rid of?
I'm gonna get rid of one and send out the notification. So don't.
Oh, okay, good. Thanks.
Yeah, I noticed that a couple of you guys have multiples. All right, we'll stop sharing.
Great job.
Yeah, great job. Thank you. This was our first, but it was very, very insightful. Great job.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Like, I'll just end with this. Like JP said, if any of you have suggestions, things you want to cover during office hours, just reach out. Always happy to take those that feedback. These are your meetings. So
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
all right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.